your retreat, the insulin optimisation retreat. You know, it was like doing a masterclass in, I don't know, biology and blood sugar balance, and it was fascinating.
Yeah.
Since we met, I followed your advice quite closely. I've had a few blips in the summer. I took a break and indulged in more carbs than I would do normally, but I quickly got myself back in the zone as I saw my HbA1c rising, as it would, even though I'm a good diabetic and I don't drink alcohol and I try my best. It started creeping up. Got it back down, and it's almost a year. So how many months have I been doing this? 10, 11 months. And my HbA1c is 44,
Amazing.
which is classified as pre-diabetic. So I wouldn't yet be diagnosed as a diabetic even, as a type 1, which is, I imagine, quite unusual. And I didn't think it was possible. I was actually completely hopeless when we met. I didn't think I could get it lower than 57.
Problem is you've hit the nail on the head there, because a lot of my colleagues, my medical colleagues, don't think it's possible to achieve normal blood sugar. And you know, there is a school of thought that says, no, it's absolutely possible. You know, when you said we have a little WhatsApp group that follows on from the Combe Grove sort of 6-day course. When you said it's 44, I said, that's great, Alice, but I'm not surprised. If you see what I mean, because
You weren't, but I was.
It's fantastic, and I didn't want to give you the impression that I wasn't pleased, but that's what we expect of our people with type 1 who are running insulin optimization.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't matter if you can't quite achieve it straight away. It took you a year, but the key thing about our course and this idea of insulin optimization is you start to learn about your body, how it works. We spend 2 whole sessions on how insulin works. And I saw you got it on day 4 out of 6.
Did I?
I could see the penny drop. And it was literally like pushing somebody on a cycle, you know, when you're teaching your child to ride a bike, and I just let you go. You let yourself go at that point.
Yeah.
And I knew then Alice has got it. And now you can argue your case and be confident that you know that you're doing well. And I think that's quite a gift, because there's a lot of negativity around, if you mentioned the K word, keto, there's a lot of negativity about that. And of course, ketogenic diets are nothing more than allowing your body to burn fat.
Yes.
And we might I think we ought to go into that at some
Definitely.
point. But ketones are discouraged in type 1 diabetes. I was always discouraged from making ketones. My doctor said, you better not get any ketones. If your blood sugar's going up, you've got ketones, you're ill. And absolutely you're ill if you're on a high carbohydrate diet. You shouldn't have any ketones in your bloodstream. So if you produce ketones, your doctor will want to say, well, where are they coming from? Because there shouldn't be any ketones.
No, it's funny. I'm delighted when I see my ketones are elevated, because it's so hard to actually achieve fat burn as a type 1.
Yes.
I'm just delighted that we met, and that I've learnt so much about insulin and how the body works and fat burning. And it's actually very simple. And I don't understand why it's not given as maybe an alternative. Maybe not everyone wants to or can live this way. But it's interesting once you start it and you start feeling the benefits and seeing the benefits, seeing it in your body, in your energy, in your vision, in your skin, in your joints. Did
you find your brain fog went?
Yes.
I had brain fog.
Yeah.
It's not good as a doctor to have brain fog.
No.
But you don't realise you have brain fog until it's gone. Strangely, it's one of those things, and when it's gone, you realise, oh, that's really good, because you live your reality. And that includes a little bit of feeling a bit foggy, but you think, just getting older or whatever. And then you realise when you cut your carbohydrates down in your diet, and you start producing this chemical called a ketone body, it wires your brain up. It's really activating for your awareness, I find, and a lot of people do.
And it was interesting on the course at Combe Grove, meeting the other type 1 teachers, ninjas as you call them, because they're all living an insulin optimized, low carbohydrate life, and they're all doing really well. Emma, the chef, you know, her HbA1c runs at around 38, I think, on average, which is completely a non-diabetic range.
Yes. And now we're understanding that you don't actually need carbohydrates.
Yes,
to stay alive.
This was
you can
what
tell me. You've been on the course. You tell me.
This is what I think you said was my moment at the Coombe Grove course on day 4, where I realised, and I kick myself for not knowing this before, that the human body doesn't require carbs to survive.
Yes.
They're a food group that is non-essential.
Yeah. How lucky is that for us that the body can make the sugar it needs? Our bodies need sugar.
Yeah.
But we make it internally.
Exactly. We make it. We make enough. And I remember, you saying that people who find themselves in, I don't know, disaster zones and no access to food for a long period of time can survive because the body's biological processes are creating what it needs.
Yes, absolutely.
And also, the way you talk about fat stores as being energy there for us to utilize.
Yes.
I think you probably know exactly how many calories worth of fat you have on your body, and I've certainly got a lot here that would keep me going for a while.
Yes, and that's the thing about optimizing insulin. So if you don't need carbs, you can just eat fat and protein. And we know that if you're not eating carbs, you're therefore not stimulating insulin, so you don't need as much. And the key thing about that is, therefore, you're not storing fat.
Exactly.
And that is the key to it. So if you're not storing fat, you're allowing your body to burn it.
I know.
And that is the thing. So if you can drop your insulin levels, you're allowing your body to burn fat. And therefore, you will lose weight in a healthy way, because you will still be providing your body with enough calories from protein and fat. And it's not a starvation diet. It's not.
Definitely not.
If you have an eating disorder, you'll have a greater chance of having an eating disorder with type 1 diabetes, because you're concentrating on food all the time. But stopping insulin is not a good idea.
No,
because
never.
you will force your body to burn fat in an unhealthy way.
Well, I'd end up how I was when I was diagnosed.
So that's dangerous. But
I lost a lot of weight, but I was,
of course,
on death's door.
Yeah, sure. But of course, you'll be able to replace your calories with fat and protein, and then your carbohydrates will be made by your body as required. So you can keep a very good glucose profile by allowing your body to burn fat. And the best way to allow your body to burn fat is to reduce the amount of insulin you need to inject. So if you reduce the insulin you inject, you're allowing your body to burn fat and produce ketones.
Yeah.
The reason that's important is not just because you want to burn fat. It's because the ketones are biologically active chemicals in their own right. They regulate the immune system. The ketones actually are self-regulating in amount. So that's why you'll never go into diabetic ketoacidosis as long as you're injecting insulin.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's what my diabetic doctors worry about with a low carb lifestyle, is that the risk of diabetic ketoacidosis is rises. But it's just not the case, actually, because if your blood sugar is low, it's an impossible state for you to get into. It's only when your blood sugar is high and the ketones are high that you're in the risky zone, right?
Yes, absolutely. As long as you're injecting insulin and it's working, you're never going to go into diabetic ketoacidosis. If you can get into ketone burning, it is a bioactive molecule in its own right. It's not just an energy generating molecule, but neuronal tissue, especially nervous tissue, likes ketones. We've got good examples now of people with bipolar disease who recover very quickly on a keto diet. And there's some good stuff online with respect to that. So I always think, well, if I developed, say if I didn't have type 1 and developed bipolar disease, 5 times increased risk of suicide when you're in your low phase. I discovered a keto diet and made it better. And then I unfortunately developed type 1 diabetes. What would I do? Well, I would want to stay on a diet that kept my mental state stable. But my specialist will be saying, well, you can't do that because you're going to go into ketosis and stay out of ketosis. So it's going in the future to generate some clinical conundrums where we're all going to have to get our heads together and work out the best solution. I know what I would do. I'd say stay on the keto diet and we'll manage your type 1 around that.
It's fascinating stuff.